Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Woohoo! All right, Tuesday's show is all lined up and ready to go. And welcome to Student of the Gun Radio. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle. I am the pimp hand of America. It's not a job that I take lightly, but this country does indeed need a smack, and I think you'll agree with me. And if you don't, well, I'm sorry for you. And there's an NPR show on right now that you could probably be listening to. But for those of you who choose to remain, I'm sure that you will indeed enjoy it. If you're brand new to Student of the Gun, this is like your first time or second time or what have you, here's what I'm gonna caution you. You'll probably not get it 100% the first time. But that's okay. This is not a simple show. It is a complex show. And it's, what do I want to say? It's easy, but it's not simple, or it's simple, but it's not easy. That's it. Simple, but it's not easy.
Like most things in life.
Yeah. So here we are in the middle of another week, and we have more evidence that you've been lied to for many, many years now, but that's no big deal. And we're bringing you the stories. We bring you the stories that the mainstream news is going to ignore and they won't talk about. They're spending so much time creating propaganda to try and discredit the new administration, the Trump administration, that they don't have time to let you know about all this other stuff. I mean, it's not really. I mean, what's more important than, well, propagandizing and lying about and discrediting the Trump administration? Well, in the modern media, the American news media, nothing is more important than that. So they don't have time for other stories. So fear not, I'm here for you guys, and we're going to let you know.
Yeah, he is here for you, and he is the pimp hand of America. Remember that. So, what did you say earlier? You don't take your job lightly?
I don't take this job lightly. I take it very seriously.
Do you take it heavily?
I do. I take it very heavily, right upon my shoulders.
There you go.
Speaking of which, I take my job so heavily that I wanted to make sure that my mobile phone is on vibrate and not on ring, because that's how much I care.
I need to go ahead and make sure that mine is the same.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my phone on, my iPhone on the silent mode. Then I'm going to forget about it, and I'm going to leave it on the silent mode all day. And then people will send me text and say, I've been trying to call you. Why aren't you answering your phone? And I'll say, I don't know because I didn't hear it. No, that switch is that little quiet switch on the side is a super handy dandy feature. Do you have that on your phone, Jared? The little be quiet switch?
Yeah.
Okay. I do. Do they all the phones have that? All the
iPhone thingies?
The India phones, they all have that?
Yeah. I actually leave mine on silent all the time. Like I leave it on the little do not disturb switch because it just vibrates into my watch so I don't have to listen to noises and stuff. There you go.
I changed my ringtone the other day and forgot. And so I was sitting there. I was like, what is that noise? Why is that music coming from nowhere? Oh, that's my new ringtone. Okay. You know why I had to change it? Because I had it on the standard default iPhone ringtone. And I'd be walking through a store and somebody else's iPhone would go off. And it sounded exactly like mine. And I kept doing is that my phone or is it someone else's? Like an old man. Like, remember the episode of Seinfeld where his uncle had tinnitus and he always heard ringing in his ears and he was constantly screaming, "Somebody get the phone!" You don't remember that, do you?
Yeah, no, I don't remember that.
Somebody answer that phone! It was his uncle. I think it was his Uncle Leo. The phone's not ringing, Leo. It's your ears. All right, well, let's go ahead and get right into it. We've got a couple of Religion of Peace updates for you guys, and one of them is just kind of a reinforcement of a show that, from last Thursday's show, but I thought it was important enough to go ahead and throw in the show notes for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Das geht an die Oma des letzten Propheten Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ich bin Say what? All right, this story comes to us from the dailymail.co.uk/news/article. Louvre attacker was Egyptian. Machete-wielding man shot 5 times after attacking French soldiers outside the Paris Museum. Had been in the country for just over a week. What? I thought he wasn't he there like looking for a better life? Isn't that where all these guys, they come here, they come there, they emigrate to Europe, they're just looking for a better life. Why you always want to get down on them, Paul? Why you want to be mean and say hateful things? They're just looking for a better way. Yeah, exactly. Keep telling yourself that as your head is being chopped off. But this story was first published on 3 February 2017 by David Burke and Peter Allen. A terror probe has been launched in Paris after a machete-wielding man was shot while attacking 4 soldiers outside the Louvre. The Louvre, as many of you know, is that famous one that was featured in Angels and Demons. What was the precursor? The Da Vinci Code. That's right, the Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci Code made the Louvre famous for all those non-French speaking people and non-artistic type people. Did you see, Jared, that the third installment of that movie just came out, and apparently I wasn't aware of it, and it was sitting on the counter. What is the new one? There was Angels and Demons, and there was the Da Vinci Code, and then there's a new one. I don't know what it's called. Because I asked about it. I said, where'd this movie come from? They're like,
I don't know.
They're like, dude, that's the number 3 in the Da Vinci Code series. I'm like, oh, I did not know that. The best thing about the Angels and Demons movie is it gave me a great example to use when I teach the Beyond the Band-Aid classes about why we don't do CPR on people that have holes in them. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom Hanks, for doing that, to giving me a great example for my teaching moment. Well, back to Johnny Jihad in Paris. The suspect was shot 5 times in the stomach. And I'm guessing they're not talking about the actual organ. I'm guessing that they're talking about the abdominal region of the human body. If they put 5 bullets into the guy's stomach, is the actual organ that is the stomach, that would be pretty serious marksmanship. But I'm guessing that they just shot him in the abdomen, and he's in critical condition. He was shouting, Allahu Akbar, and they felt the need to write in the story that means Arabic for God is the greatest, according to the Paris chief of police, and reportedly had paint bombs in his backpack. I'm not really sure what a paint bomb is. Was he planning on hacking some people up and then doing some graffiti, or was he a paintballer? Was he like a paintball dude and he had Jared, you know how paintball people have those paint grenades that they throw at each other? Maybe he had those. Reuters reported that Egypt's Interior Ministry had received confirmation from their embassy in Paris that the suspect was Egyptian. What's the state religion of Egypt? Is it Methodism?
I'm going to go with, what did I say? Buddhist monk. That's my go-to answer.
Buddhism. Yeah, the official state religion of Egypt is Buddhism. Nope. It's the death cult, the 7th century death cult. A source close to the investigation claims the suspect is an Egyptian man who arrived in France at the end of last month. An unconfirmed report by French TV network LCI named the suspect as 29-year-old Abdallah Ech, who arrived in France on a flight from Dubai on January 26th. It was not known to security services, said the network. Okay. After being refused entry to the Louvre, he pulled out a weapon and was shot by a soldier, officials have confirmed. The paratrooper is believed to have suffered a minor head injury. U.S. President Donald Trump tweeted following the attack at the French capital, a new radical Islamic terrorist has just attacked the Louvre Museum in Paris. Tourists were locked down. France is on edge again. Get smart, U.S. Oh, you gotta love that. Why does he have to do that? Why does Donald Trump have to use Twitter to get directly to the American people? so that he doesn't have to go through the hostile left-wing media filter.
I say you said the answer, like right there, because he wants to go directly to the American people
without being filtered.
He wants to talk to you and I instead of the freaking news camera.
An openly hostile American media, a left-wing, full-blown liberal fascist news media. A second man was arrested for acting suspiciously close to the scene. Police do not believe he was linked. Here we go. Let's see what the French Prime Minister had to say. Now, isn't France bizarre? Don't they have like a Prime Minister and a President? Because it seems to me that we've had quotes from the French President before. But French Prime Minister Bernard Cazeneuve has described the attack as terrorist in nature. Okay, so here we got a bunch of pictures live from the scene. We've got grainy surveillance footage here, and here's the thing that I just So there's one dude, right? They whacked him, stacked him, put him on a gurney, took him to the hospital. He's going to be like pooping into a bag for quite a long time, or whatever, and he's in serious condition. All right, step number one. For all of you guys who are students of the gun out there, you're thinking to yourself, did the guy shoot him did the soldier shoot him with a rifle? And I'm like, I don't know. Because all those people in camouflage uniforms I see here, they're all holding rifles. I've got a picture of a dude here. He's in a camouflage uniform, looks like a soldier. Now, that dude, he has a pistol on him, so he might have shot him with a pistol. I don't know. But, Jared, do they not teach the soldiers where to put the bullets in France? You're not supposed to put them in the guts, man. You're supposed to put them up in like the 5 ring, and the 5 ring's like all the way up, like pledge allegiance. Right now, take your hand and pledge allegiance. If you put it over your heart, now shift it just a little bit into the center. All right, that area that you can cover with your hand, where your sternum is, and you feel like that little hole, that little indent where your neck, meets your chest right there. That's the 5 ring. That's the thoracic triangle. That's where you want to put bullets to make people stop doing bad things. So, okay, I don't mean to be overly critical, but if they shot him all 5 times in the abdomen, I mean, I could see if he was like moving around and swinging his machete and stuff, and bullets went all over the place. But I don't know. So here we go. We've got one guy down, shot almost immediately after attacking a soldier. Okay, that's good. And they've got pictures of the scene. And it's almost as if they said, hey, everybody with a uniform, grab a rifle and go stand around. There are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of employees of the state just walking around with rifles in their hands. Just walking around, they got rifles in their hands, standing on street corners. There's one dude that's so bored that he's undone. There's a picture. Jared, if you scroll down, they have the helmets. All right, how many people are Star Wars fans here? Jared, are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan.
Okay. You remember what the Rebel Forces helmets in the very beginning of Star Wars, when the Empire, when they tractor beam in Princess Leia's ship? You remember that, right?
Oh yeah.
And they break through the door, and those of you who just saw Rogue One, you got to reimagine that scene. And those weird, funky helmets that they were wearing, it's kind of like, how is that? It's like a weird, oversized, aerodynamic bicycle helmet kind of a thing.
Yeah.
If you look at these pictures, this dude, he looks like he's wearing that helmet. And,
that's funny.
And he's just so over it that he's undone. He's loosened his body armor, and he's pulling down on the collar, and he's just kind of standing there like, whatever. And if you look at the front of his holster, looks like he's got his cell phone holder attached to his holster strap. You see that, Jared?
I haven't found the picture yet.
I'm that kind of a geek. I see that stuff. You scroll down, it says, the drama unfolded next to the Carousel de Louvre, a vast underground shopping center of the museum complex.
So they always have like a ton of pictures and stuff in these.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of them. So we got one single bad guy, and the response is, everyone in uniform, grab a rifle, go stand around. Why is that? Because that makes the peasants feel better. Remember, okay, there's one here. Large
there it is.
teams of police officers descended on the iconic Louvre. We got dudes just standing around with their hands in their pockets, guys with their helmets off. Why do they do that? It's not just France. I'm not just picking on France here. And you can tell that they have bullets in their guns. You know how you can tell, Jared?
Because the mags have...
The mags are transparent.
Yeah, I just found the picture. It's like, yeah. Well, at least they have bullets, and they're not like the army.
The opaque magazines.
Was it the army that disarmed their soldiers?
Oh, that made them carry around...
in New Orleans?
Yeah, made them carry M4s with no magazines in them because they weren't allowed to have live ammo in their guns because it's dangerous.
So are you technically considered a soldier if you are not allowed to have live ammunition?
Well, public servant, whatever, You don't understand. We just can't let soldiers walk around with loaded guns. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Got a chick here. She's all happy. She got her rifle out, and she's just walking, doing the crosswalk. Another dude just standing around, dudes with their hands in their pockets. Folks, why do they do that? Why, after every one of these lone wolf Johnny Jihad attacks, do they send out the uniformed police officers and just have them stand around taking up space? Oh, for security, Paul, for security reasons, because we've got to make sure the scene's secure and it's secure. No, wrong. Nice try. It's to placate the peasants. Because this illusion of security it's there to make the peasants feel okay about the situation. It's there to make you think, well, I know this bad thing just happened, but the government has the situation well in hand. They're taking care of it, and everything's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Because, let me see, anywhere in the story does it say that France is going to go ahead and find their testicles and eject all of these monsters from their country and stop letting them just stop letting these psychotic monsters just show up and kill their people? No, they're not going to do that. Hell, it was the French president after the Paris slaughter. After the slaughter in Paris, French citizens just gunned down and mutilated all over the floor of the theater. They said that they had a moral obligation to the world to keep letting these death cult monsters come into their country. Yeah, they haven't learned yet. And this right here, they haven't learned from this. This was just a lone wolf attack, and we have no reason to believe that this has anything to do with the religion of peace and brotherhood. And this is just an isolated incident, one of thousands of isolated incidents where refugees and asylum seekers just show up in your country and decide they're going to start killing your people. So there we go. All right. Yes, please, Jared. Thank you for giving me that note. We're going to go ahead and move on to another story here. We got another story. Now, last week...
Earlier this week, our story about an immigrant...
There you go. Is that the one that I'm going to be playing?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah. Earlier this week... Now, last week, what day was it? Thursday. We talked about what was going down in Minneapolis in Minnesota and how the Somali jihadis have basically taken over the town and the police are hamstrung, and apparently there are no red-blooded American men to defend their communities up there. Well, right after we did that story, one of you folks out there in the audience, you posted a link to this story. Now, this story isn't brand new. This story actually took place in December. It was in December, right? So, but this happened in where? Minnesota. Now, Jared's going to go ahead and play the audio from the news story, and I want you to take a listen.
This week, our story about an immigrant from Somalia charged with raping a woman in Polk County created a firestorm of negative comments against immigrants on social media. Many people are wondering why he isn't being deported.
This man, 22-year-old Mohammed Anali, is facing charges of first and third-degree criminal sexual conduct. Valley News Team's Neil Carlson takes a closer look at how the government deals with immigrants who are charged with crimes.
Last Friday night, Muhammad Anali allegedly raped a woman at knife point while riding a commercial bus through Polk County. Anali was arrested at a UMC bus stop in Crookston. However, police did not find a knife. Anali has been formally charged and released from jail after posting $5,000 bail.
Anali told police that he had just moved to Minneapolis from Somalia just last September. However, ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency, says they only have jurisdiction over immigrants after they've been admitted to the U.S.
ICE released the following statement to Valley News Live. ICE has no legal interest in this individual at this time. I can't discuss an individual's immigration status. That's considered private information. But for the present, ICE has no involvement in this case. If he's convicted, that may change. In the meantime, we'll continue to monitor the case. In a phone interview, an ICE spokesperson told me that basically it works like this. If an immigrant is convicted of a crime, they may have the authority to deport that person. At this point, Anali is innocent until proven guilty. And even if he is found guilty, that doesn't necessarily mean he would be deported. For instance, we don't know Anali's immigration status, but it's possible he's already legally a U.S. citizen and would simply do his prison time here in the U.S. if he was convicted. In Crookston, Neil Carlson, Valley News Live.
The ICE spokesperson we talked to admits that immigration law is very complex. He says several different government agencies each perform their own vetting process, whether to allow a specific immigrant into this country. A specific immigrant can enter the country through various agencies, depending on whether they're a refugee claiming asylum and many other scenarios.
Yeah. Right. So what did we get out of that?
Real quick, can I replay the beginning because I have to be a grammar Nazi?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to redo this.
Earlier this week, our story about an immigrant from Somalia charged with raping a woman in Polk County created a firestorm of negative comments against immigrants on social media.
So are the negative comments against the immigrants that are on social media, or are the negative comments on social media about the immigrants?
That's right.
I don't understand.
They made negative comments about immigrants who use social media.
Normally I wouldn't really care, but this is a professional, news lady that is supposed to know how to use.
They're just talking heads. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
She's reading off a teleprompter. Dude, she's reading off a teleprompter. Just that's what they told us.
If I was reading off a teleprompter, I would not have read that in that way.
Oh, no, yeah. So what do we get from that story? So we have a death cult missionary. We have a jihadi monster who comes to the United States and given, they're looking for a better life. And who are we to deny them a better life? Because we owe it to the world to give them everything that we have because they've earned it and they deserve it and blah, blah, blah. So we got a death cult monster who, only 22 years old, comes to the United States from Somalia, one of the worst nations on planet Earth. Thank you very much, Death Cult of Islam. And rapes a woman, rapes, your neighbor, your sister, your daughter, your wife on a public bus. And they gave him a whopping $5,000 bail for forcibly raping a woman on a bus, aggravated rape. And so he committed ag rape, which is a pretty big felony. He's out on $5,000 bail. Dude, people steal a television and get out on $5,000 bail. But, and so the news agency, they go to, this guy obviously is a foreign national, right? And they go to ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. They go to the federal government and they ask the federal government, like, hey, bro, what you going to do about this? And they're like, well, it's really complicated. And right now we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do is we're just going to wait and see what happens. And then after we wait and see what happens, then we may or we may not decide to act. Does that make you feel good, America? Does that make you feel like your local bureaucracy, your government bureaucracy, your public servants, your civil servants, people that are being paid by your tax dollars to supposedly protect the borders of the United States of America and keep bad stuff and bad people from coming in, the people whose job it is? I mean, ICE they're not local cops. They're not supposed to hand out speeding tickets. They're not supposed to investigate stolen TVs or drugs. They're not supposed to bust like crack dealers on Madison Avenue. No. Their whole job, the reason that these fart heads exist, you like that, Jared?
Yeah.
Is to protect the borders of the United States and to prevent vicious monsters and death cult mercenaries from getting to you. Dude, I guess you're doing a great job. I want you to know that. I mean, you're doing just a bang-up job. So when they go to them, they're like, hey, what are you going to do about it? Like good little bureaucrats, they say, I don't know. Maybe we'll do something. But we haven't decided yet. So in the meantime, these 7th century death cult monsters are raping your wives and raping your daughters and raping your sisters. Because apparently ICE has no interest in actually, now this is all about to change, and things are changing, thank the Lord. Now, we're trying to change this. The Trump administration is trying to protect our borders, trying to keep these rapist monsters from being disseminated throughout your communities so that you don't have to worry when my wife is riding the bus home from work tonight, is a death cult monster going to freaking rape her? When my daughter is going to class at the University of Minnesota and coming back, is she going to be raped by a foreign national monster? We don't have enough monsters in our own country. We have to import some and spread them out amongst the landscape because that's just the right thing to do. For 8 years, the communist community organizer has been spreading out the monsters, dropping them off in a city near you. Oh, we can't even talk about Oregon, about the immigrant monsters that sexually assaulted, the little 8-year-old girl? Remember that? Oh, we're not supposed to talk about that anymore. No, we can't talk about that anymore because it hurts people's feelings. Yeah. The 3 juvenile monsters, all from the death cult of Islam, held a little girl at knife point and sexually molested her in a laundry room of an apartment complex because your government brought them into the country and used your tax money to house them in this apartment complex. And when the family goes to the police and they go to ICE to say, hey, what the hell? How about not bringing these monsters and just dropping them off on our doorstep? What do? They tell them they better watch their mouths. We better not catch you bad-mouthing immigrants or we'll charge you with hate crimes. Yes, the people that complained about their little girl who got sexually molested at knife point by 3 immigrants, they were told they better watch what they say. Yeah. And the hardcore leftists, the liberal fascists in America, that's where they want us to stay. They don't want President Trump to keep out these monsters. They don't want him to build a wall and secure the border. They want it as it is. So every time you hear Sarah Silverman and every other Hollywood dipstick going off about this or that and Trump this and Trump that, remember, they want it to stay the same. They're fighting to keep these monsters in your communities so that you have to worry about whether or not your daughter is going to get raped in the laundry room at knife point by 3 death cult monsters who were brought here by our own government, housed in housing by you, the citizen. Then when you complain about it, they tell you, you better watch your mouth, what you're saying about immigrants. We'll charge you with a hate crime. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful, America? You might want to nut up. You might want to nut up. And I hope most of you are nutting up and telling these Hollywood puke bags where they can go. Brothers and sisters, if you're not armed, if you're listening to me, you're in the United States of America, and you're not armed, you're so wrong, I don't even know where to go. Like total dick cancer wrong. Speaking of being armed, I got a question from an audience member about what do I tell the cops when I'm pulled over if I'm armed? Well, here's the deal. Do you have one of those cool plastic cards with your picture on it that says, I am a certified gun-carrying good guy? They put my fingerprints on record, and I gave them money, and they asked me a bunch of questions. I took a test, and then they took my, they sent it off to the FBI, and they're like, yeah, this guy's not wanted for anything. Give him a card with his picture on it, and let him carry a gun. So if you're one of those people, and you get pulled over by the police, what you should do is don't fiddle fart around. If your wallet's in the glove compartment or in the back seat in a gym bag or whatever, what I don't want you to do is reach into the back seat and be digging in a gym bag as the police officer walks up, okay? Because you're going to make him really nervous, and he's probably going to stick the barrel of a cig or a Glock in your face. So don't do that. But if you have easy access to your driver's license, because you're operating a motor vehicle, right? And to that plastic card with your picture on it that says, this is a certified gun-carrying good guy. Put them both together. Have them in your hand, put your hands on the wheel, turn the dome light on, all that good stuff. And when the officer walks up and he says, oh, I see you got your ID out already. Can I have it? You hand him both cards. He'll look at the top one that says driver's license. He'll look at the bottom one that says this guy is a card carrying, good guy, and he has a concealed carry permit. Okay, great. And then he'll probably say something like, oh, you got a permit? Are you carrying your gun right now? And you'll say yes or no. Tell him the truth. Don't lie. And you say, yes. Where is it? It's in a holster on my right hip. It's in a pocket holster. It's in this bag. It's whatever. Okay. And 99 out of 100 cops will say, just do me a favor. Keep your hands where I can see them. Don't touch the gun. Great. Move on with your life. That's all you need to do. Now, if you don't have a card, let's just say you're either in a constitutional carry state or you're just in for instance, in Mississippi, we have a really strong castle doctrine, which means that your castle, you can be armed not only in your house, but also in your lawful place of business, also inside of your vehicle, also inside of your RV, your camper, also inside of your boat. Wherever you are legally occupying, that space you're legally occupying, if it's your property, being it a boat, a camper, a car, a house, an apartment, whatever, that is your castle. And because it is your castle, you have the right to possess a firearm and defend yourself in that thing. So, in Mississippi, for instance, you don't have to have a card with your picture on it to be legally armed inside of your motor vehicle. So, you may not have a card. And then how many times we said this, Jared? When the cop walks up to the window, the first words out of your mouth should not be, I've got a gun.
Yeah.
Don't say the word gun.
And also, if you have your gun sitting on maybe like the center console, don't just reach for your gun to move it.
No, just leave it be.
That's a good way to get shot.
Let it be. Put your hands up on top of the steering wheel, roll the windows down, turn the dome light on, and just wait patiently for the 45 seconds to a minute or whatever while Officer Friendly walks up to talk to you. But what if there's a gun in the car, but I don't have a permit, and should I tell the cop? No, I wouldn't say anything to him. Let him do the thing. Most cops have. When I was a cop, I had the routine. I had the battery of questions. Hey, good evening. The reason I stopped you is because you violated the posted speed limit of 35 miles an hour, and I need to see your driver's license, your registration. Can you tell me where it is? Yes, it's in the glove compartment. Do you have any drugs, alcohol, or firearms in the car or on you at this time? And the answer is yes, no, or maybe. I don't know. And if he says, do you have any drugs, alcohol, firearms in the car? Yes. Which one? I have a gun. Where is it? It's in the glove compartment. Okay. Tell you what, keep your hands on the steering wheel and blah, 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 or whatever. Let them bring up the line of questioning. Now, if you have a permit, now some states require that if you are a permitted gun carrier that you immediately, that it says inform law enforcement at the earliest convenience. Like I said, don't scream out the words, I have a gun, because that's a great way to get shot or have police officers' guns pointed in your face. But if you're stopped, and if you're carrying the card that has your picture on it, just take that card and the eye thing and hand it to the cop. Don't yell out, hey, I have a gun. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. And if you have a lawfully owned property, which is what a gun is, in your car, stored in your trunk or your back seat or whatever, as long as you're in the right, like in Ohio, or not Ohio, in Mississippi here, when I go to the range, I can just take my rifles and stuff, throw them on the back seat and drive. I am 100% perfectly within the law. Other places in America, I'm not within the law. So it depends on where you live. I hope that kind of helped you out there. Thank you to Brownells for offering us guns and scopes and optics and ammunition, and now actual legitimate firearms. That's right. You go to brownells.com and you shop for actual guns. You check those guys out. While you're there, you can look for Century guns. They have some, not a lot, but they're actually, according to Jacob, going to have a lot more in the very near future. Century Arms is the sweetest-smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A., and we're going to have a whole lot more about the RAS-47 and the C-39 V2, and they have a new C-39 V2 pistol, a version 2. They've had a C-39 pistol for a while, and they've got a version 2 now with some upgrades, and you're going to, for a double dose of pimpin', we're going to have some upgrades coming up here, so keep a sharp eye out. But you can check those guys out at centuryarms.com, or if you want to get some detailed explanations of their pistols, you can go to Canic USA. Duracoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. Full stop. End of sentence. And do me a favor, guys, or do yourself a favor. It's February. If you want to treat yourself, go to Duracoat, go to LauerWeaponry.com, and you can order yourself a can of slightly darker black, right? I don't know if they have slightly darker black on the Brownells website yet, but I know if you go to LauerWeaponry.com, you can order one can of slightly darker black and get a Student of the gun tattoo while you're at it. SWAT fuel for sharper minds, stronger bodies. Let's face it, Jared, it's February now.
It is.
So my question to you hippies out there, those of you who are serious about having a sharper mind and stronger body for 2017, what's your local gym looking like? On February 2nd, February 3rd, was your local gym a ghost town again? It was packed on January 3rd, February 3rd, February 4th. It's empty. Funny how things work out like that. But if you want to save yourself some money, go to SWATfuelstore.com and use the promo code SOTG2015 for the fat burner, the energy builder, the multivitamin, and the 44 mag whey protein. That's right. Frog Lube, it's green, it's minty fresh, it's a bio-based firearms lubricant. You can get Frog Lube products from Brownells, or you can get them from froglube.com. And one more person we want to thank, or company we want to thank, it's Crossbreed Holsters, the makers of the Super Tuck Deluxe and the Freedom Carry and the Snap Slide, and they also make belts, things. Remember, if you're going to carry a quality holster, you need a quality belt. Really, you seriously do. So go to crossbreedholsters.com.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Meet Sid. Sid doesn't check for traffic updates. SID does simplify suppressor ownership. Meet SID, the new interactive kiosk that makes the fingerprinting and paperwork of silencer applications quick, easy, and pain-free. If you're ready to own a silencer, make time to meet Sid, your new buddy in the silencer business. Available at selected Powered by Silencer shop retailers.
All right, it's time for a quiet time moment brought to you by silencershop.com. And, you know, their question is, if you're ready to own a silencer, and my question to you is, why would you not be? If you live in free America, if you live in one of the many states in free America where citizens not only can but should possess hashtag gun mufflers, a muffler for your gun to make it quieter, you need to go to silencershop.com and start shopping around now. So I'm just telling you, that's, if you live in free America, that's part of the checklist of being an actual free man, is being able to quiet down your gun so it doesn't hurt your ears and annoy the neighbors and scare the game. All right, we're going to kind of go back to our roots here, because I know that there are a lot of people listening today that weren't listening 2 months ago or 4 months ago or 6 months ago. Now, we do indeed have a recommended reading list. It's called the Patriot Bookshelf, and we make it available to you guys. And there's several books on there, but I wanted to give you kind of a top 3 of martial mindset. This is your martial mindset checklist. And the number 1 is The Art of War. But calm down. Calm down. You're like, I already got that, already saw that, or blah, blah, blah. No, what I want you guys to do is I want you, if you're going to buy the book, The Art of War, I want you to buy the Stephen F. Kaufman edition. There are several. Matter of fact, if you went to Barnes & Noble or a bookstore today, you'd probably find 2, 3, maybe 4 different translations of The Art of War. You say it's the same book, it's all the same. No, it's not. And the reason is, well, because obviously the book had to be, unless you are fluent in ancient Chinese, and maybe some of you are, great, you're fluent in ancient Chinese. But for those of us who are not fluent in ancient Chinese, we are relying upon people who speak both Chinese and English to translate it for us. But the translation is going to vary dramatically based upon the education and the experience and the outlook of the translator. Now, many of the Art of War books have been translated by historians, or they've been translated by language professors, people whose speciality is dealing in language. But Kaufman, actually, he is a practicing martial artist, and Kaufman comes at it from a different angle. He actually looks at the Art of War as a serious, legitimate martial mindset, combat mindset book. Not about strategies for business and how to succeed on Wall Street and all this other happy horse crap. It cracked me up in the 80s and 90s. All these wannabe Wall Street legends are like, I read The Art of War because business is war and blah 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 blah. As somebody who has been in war and has been in the martial field for their whole life, I just look at these suit wearing dudes and are like, Wall Street is war, man, and the stock market is war. No. Shooting dudes in their face and watching their brains come out of the back of their head is war. Throwing grenades into buildings is war. You going to work every day and figuring out what the best stock trade is not war. Thanks for playing, Sparky. So when I tell you to read The Art of War, I want you to take my advice, start with the Kaufman edition. Okay, Art of War by Sun Tzu, that's book number 1. Book number 2 is The 5 Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Again, there's several translations, and I actually own like 4 copies of The Art of War, and the Kaufman one, I believe, is the most practical and realistic. And I really appreciate The 5 Rings by Kaufman, again, Stephen Kaufman. Now, the next book, the last book I'm going to recommend, and I'm giving you these in order, because if you read the one before the other, The Demon Sermon on the Martial Arts by Issei Chosanshi. The Demon Sermon is the last book you read because it is the most deep into the weeds. Okay, there's a lot of martial philosophy, really deep thought in that book. So I want you to read The Art of War first, then read The Five Rings, then the third one. After you've consumed those and you got your mind right, then go ahead and read The Demon Sermon on Martial Arts by Issei Chosanchi. Okay, so there's your reading list. That is your, I know, because I know a lot of people out there are brand new listeners to Student of the Gun, and I wanted to make sure that you had some information and education to kind of get you going there. All right, that's it. That brings us right to the end of Tuesday's show, and we will be back tomorrow. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? According to my show notes, we have a Fighting Fitness tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and we're going to talk about that. Jared will take that over. And in addition to that, we will have a Brownell's Bullet Points, so make sure that you are tuning in mañana. Until that time, remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.